Welcome to our exploration of The Prince, a political treatise that has shaped the way leaders and thinkers approach power for centuries. Written by Niccolo Machiavelli, this book stands as a cornerstone in political literature, offering insights that are as relevant today as they were in Renaissance Italy. Before its translation into Hindi, it had already been rendered into almost every major language, reflecting its global impact. In this video, we'll journey through the historical context, Machiavelli's life, and the core ideas that make The Prince a timeless guide for rulers and citizens alike. Let's begin by understanding why this work is so significant. Hindi translation of The Prince was undertaken to introduce Machiavelli's thought to a new audience. The translator, acknowledging the challenges of rendering such a complex work, expresses hope that Hindi readers will find it easier to grasp Machiavelli's unique perspective on politics. He also credits Dr. Ramprasad Tripathi for writing the introduction, which helps readers appreciate the historical value of Machiavelli's ideas. This dedication reflects a deep respect for both the original author and the new audience, bridging cultures and eras through literature. Niccolo Machiavelli was born on May 3, 1469, in Florence, Italy, into a modest landowning family. Though his family's resources were enough for a simple life, Machiavelli's ambitions led him into the political struggles of Florence at a young age. The Italy of his time was fragmented, with 7 major states constantly at odds, each vying for dominance through intrigue and shifting alliances. This turbulent environment deeply influenced Machiavelli's outlook and later writings, providing first-hand experience with the complexities of power and governance. During Machiavelli's era, Italy was a patchwork of competing states, including Savoy, Genoa, Milan, Florence, Venice, the Papal States, and Naples. Each pursued its own interests, often at the expense of unity and stability. The resulting chaos made Italy vulnerable to foreign intervention, with powers like France, Spain, and the Holy Roman Empire frequently meddling in Italian affairs. This lack of collective strategy and the prevalence of internal strife set the stage for Machiavelli's observations on the necessity of strong, pragmatic leadership. Florence, renowned for its culture and art, was also a city marked by decadence and political manipulation. The Medici family, wealthy bankers, held real power behind the facade of a republic. Their influence permeated every aspect of Florentine life, from politics to public celebrations. While they contributed to the city's prosperity, their focus on spectacle and control left Florence hollow and vulnerable, lacking the foundations necessary for true strength and freedom. Mid Florence's decline, the reformer Savonarola emerged, openly criticizing the city's superficial culture and calling for moral and political renewal. His passionate sermons sparked a wave of change, leading to new laws and attempts at reform. However, the entrenched power of the Medici family proved difficult to dislodge. With the help of the French king, Savonarola managed to exile the Medici, but his movement ultimately faced fierce opposition and was violently suppressed, illustrating the challenges of genuine reform in a corrupt environment. Despite attempts at reform, Florence remained unstable. The city relied on foreign alliances and mercenary armies, which only deepened its divisions and vulnerabilities. Wealthy citizens pursued their own interests, and political factions weakened the state further. This ongoing instability set the backdrop for Machiavelli's political career, as he navigated the shifting tides of power and witnessed firsthand the consequences of weak governance. Machiavelli served as Florence's deputy chancellor and secretary for nearly 14 years, engaging with rulers across Italy and Europe. His diplomatic missions brought him into contact with figures like the French king and Emperor Maximilian. In 1502, he was sent to observe Caesar Borgia, whose ruthless tactics left a lasting impression on Machiavelli. These experiences provided the raw material for his later writings, especially his insights into the realities of power and statecraft. 1512, a coalition of the Pope, Spain, and Naples drove the French out of northern Italy, allowing the Medici family to reclaim Florence. The city's republican government collapsed, and Machiavelli was exiled. Accused of conspiracy, he was imprisoned and tortured before being released. These personal setbacks forced him into rural retirement, where he struggled financially but found time to reflect and write. Despite his lack of personal success, Machiavelli's writings have endured. His major works, The Prince and History of Florence, are closely linked, with the latter providing the historical context that inspired the former. While History of Florence is valuable, it is The Prince that stands out for its bold and original ideas, challenging the conventional wisdom of his time and offering a new way to think about power. Machiavelli's approach in The Prince was revolutionary. Unlike his contemporaries, who saw the purpose of government as upholding religious ideals, Machiavelli focused on practical realities. He argued that rulers must understand the world as it is, not as it should be, and that clinging to ideals without regard for circumstances leads to failure. This pragmatic perspective set him apart and made his work both controversial and influential. Central to Machiavelli's thought is a realistic view of human nature. He believed that people are more inclined toward self-interest and wrongdoing than virtue. Left unchecked, the masses will drift toward chaos, making strong leadership essential. For Machiavelli, the stability of the state depends on the ruler's ability to harness both the loyalty and the fear of the people, using force if necessary to maintain order. According to Machiavelli, a successful state rests on four pillars: a wise and skilled ruler, a well-organized national army, financial resources, and the support of the people. He warned against relying on mercenaries or external powers, emphasizing that the ruler's own abilities and the loyalty of his subjects are the true foundations of lasting authority. Machiavelli insisted that rulers must prioritize military knowledge above all else. Mastery of warfare, he argued, is the single most important skill for a leader. Studying history and the actions of great men, as well as practicing hunting and other martial activities, prepares a ruler to defend and expand his state. In times of peace, a wise ruler remains vigilant and ready for conflict. One of Machiavelli's most famous and controversial assertions is that it is better for a ruler to be feared than loved, if he cannot be both. While kindness and generosity are virtues, a ruler must not hesitate to act with cruelty when necessary to maintain order and unity. The key is to avoid being hated, but not to shy away from tough decisions that secure the state. Machiavelli challenged the idea that rulers must always keep their word. He argued that when circumstances change, a wise ruler should not hesitate to break promises if it benefits the state. Publicly, a ruler should appear virtuous, but privately, he must be ready to act against his own principles if the situation demands it. This flexibility, he believed, is crucial for survival in a world full of deception and shifting alliances. Machiavelli recognized the role of fortune in human affairs, but believed that bold action is often more effective than cautious deliberation. He compared fortune to a woman who favors the bold, suggesting that decisive, even aggressive, action is necessary to seize opportunities and overcome obstacles. This emphasis on initiative and adaptability remains a hallmark of Machiavellian thought. While Machiavelli's ideas were groundbreaking, he was also influenced by ancient thinkers, particularly Aristotle. He did not attempt to design an ideal state or propose multiple systems of government. Instead, his focus was on practical solutions to Italy's dire situation, drawing from both classical wisdom and his own experience to craft advice for contemporary rulers. Machiavelli acknowledged the strengths and weaknesses of both monarchies and republics. However, given Italy's fractured and chaotic state, he concluded that a strong, centralized authority was necessary for national survival. He believed that only a decisive leader could unite the country and restore its independence, even if that meant setting aside ideals of liberty and shared governance. Machiavelli, the ultimate test of political action is utility, not morality. He argued that rulers should do whatever is necessary to achieve victory and maintain power, whether through honesty or deceit, kindness or cruelty. This ruthless pragmatism has led many to accuse Machiavelli of being amoral or even evil, but he insisted that his advice was grounded in the realities of human nature and society. Machiavelli believed that the foundations of a stable state are good laws and a strong military. He warned rulers against indulgence and luxury, urging them to avoid behaviors that could lead to the loss of their realm. Above all, he emphasized the importance of maintaining the respect and goodwill of the people, as well as the loyalty of the nobility. Machiavelli understood that a ruler's reputation is a powerful tool. He advised leaders to cultivate an image of strength, courage, and generosity, while also being careful not to alienate the people or the elite. Wise rulers, he argued, balance the interests of different groups to maintain stability and prevent rebellion. Though The Prince was not published during Machiavelli's lifetime, its ideas eventually transformed European political thought. Monarchs and statesmen across the continent, from Henry VIII to Bismarck, drew inspiration from Machiavelli's principles. Even controversial figures like Stalin and Hitler have been linked to Machiavellian tactics, demonstrating the enduring relevance and controversy of his work. Machiavelli classified states as either republics or principalities. Principalities could be hereditary, where power is passed down through a family, or new, where a ruler acquires power through conquest or fortune. Understanding the nature of a state is crucial for determining the best methods of governance and control. Hereditary principalities, according to Machiavelli, are easier to govern than new states. As long as the ruler maintains traditional customs and adapts to local conditions, the people are likely to remain loyal. Even if the ruler is temporarily overthrown, he can often regain power with minimal effort, as seen in several Italian examples. Mixed principalities, where a new ruler takes over an existing state, present unique challenges. People often hope for better conditions under the new ruler, but disappointment can quickly turn to resentment. The new ruler must balance the interests of those who supported his rise with the hostility of those who lost power, making stability difficult to achieve. In acquiring new territories, Machiavelli advised rulers to eliminate the previous ruling family and avoid drastic changes to local laws and taxes. If the conquered people share language and customs with the conqueror, integration is easier. Otherwise, the ruler should consider living in the new territory or establishing colonies to maintain control. Machiavelli argued that rulers should reside in newly conquered territories whenever possible. Their presence deters rebellion, allows them to respond quickly to problems, and prevents abuses by local officials. If living there is not feasible, establishing loyal colonies can serve as a practical alternative. To secure a new territory, Machiavelli recommended either winning over the population or completely neutralizing potential threats. Partial measures often backfire, as those who suffer minor losses are more likely to seek revenge. By contrast, decisive action can prevent future uprisings and consolidate the ruler's authority. Machiavelli compared the governance of France and Turkey to illustrate different challenges in ruling conquered lands. In centralized states like Turkey, power is concentrated and resistance is difficult to organize. In decentralized states like France, local nobles can become allies or enemies, making control more complex. Understanding these dynamics is essential for effective rule. Conquering cities that were previously self-governing, Machiavelli advised three options: destroy them, live there, or establish a loyal ruling class. Of these, destruction is often the only way to prevent future rebellion, as citizens rarely forget their traditions and freedoms. Attempts to rule through local elites or by granting limited autonomy often fail in the long run. Founding a new state is one of the most challenging tasks a ruler can undertake. Success depends on both opportunity and personal ability. Historical examples like Moses, Cyrus, and Romulus show that great leaders seize the moment and use their skills to overcome resistance, often facing initial difficulties but ultimately securing lasting power. Machiavelli emphasized that new rulers must be prepared to use force to establish their authority. While winning support is important, opposition from those invested in the old order is inevitable. Only by decisively eliminating threats and demonstrating strength can a new regime secure its position and gain the loyalty of the people. Caesar Borgia, son of Pope Alexander VI, serves as a prime example of Machiavellian tactics. Borgia used cunning, alliances, and ruthless action to expand his power in Italy. He eliminated rivals, manipulated allies, and established order through both fear and reward. Though ultimately undone by misfortune, his methods illustrate many of Machiavelli's key principles. Despite his skill and ambition, Caesar Borgia's fate was sealed by circumstances beyond his control. The death of his father and his own illness left him vulnerable, demonstrating that even the most capable leaders are subject to fortune. Machiavelli admired Borgia's methods, but acknowledged that success also requires luck. Machiavelli discussed rulers who gained power through criminal acts, such as Agathocles of Syracuse. While such individuals may achieve control, their lack of virtue and reliance on violence prevent them from earning lasting respect or legitimacy. Machiavelli distinguished between mere power and true greatness, emphasizing the importance of both ability and morality. Some rulers rise to power with the support of their fellow citizens rather than through violence or inheritance. Machiavelli called these civil principalities. Such rulers must balance the interests of the elite and the common people, navigating complex social dynamics to maintain their position and prevent unrest. Rulers who depend on the nobility face unique challenges, as nobles often see themselves as equals to the ruler and may be difficult to control. Machiavelli advised rulers to either win their loyalty through rewards or neutralize them as threats. The key is to ensure that the nobility's interests align with those of the ruler. For rulers who rise with popular support, maintaining the goodwill of the people is crucial. Machiavelli argued that the masses are generally more honest and easier to please than the elite, as they seek only to avoid oppression. A wise ruler prioritizes the happiness of the people to ensure stability and prevent rebellion. Machiavelli strongly warned against relying on mercenary or auxiliary troops. Such soldiers are often unreliable, motivated by money rather than loyalty, and can turn against their employer. He cited Italy's reliance on mercenaries as a key reason for its political weakness and vulnerability to foreign conquest. Instead of hiring outsiders, Machiavelli advocated for the creation of a national army composed of citizens. Such forces are more loyal, motivated by patriotism, and better suited to defend the state's interests. The strength of Rome and Sparta, he argued, lay in their citizen armies, which preserved their independence for centuries. Machiavelli recognized that religious states, such as the Papal States, are unique. Their authority rests on tradition and spiritual legitimacy, making them difficult to conquer or destabilize. While he admired their stability, Machiavelli also noted that their power often depended on the skill and ambition of individual leaders. Papal states grew in power through a combination of political maneuvering and the decline of rival factions. Popes like Alexander VI and Julius II expanded their territories and influence, often using both spiritual authority and military force. Machiavelli saw the papacy as a model of how religious legitimacy can be harnessed for political gain. Machiavelli lamented Italy's decline, attributing it to the reliance on mercenary armies and the fragmentation of political authority. He argued that only by uniting under strong leadership and building a national army could Italy regain its former glory and independence. His call for renewal remains a powerful message for nations facing internal and external challenges. As we conclude our journey through The Prince, it's clear that Machiavelli's insights into power, human nature, and statecraft continue to resonate. His willingness to confront uncomfortable truths and prioritize practical solutions over idealism has made his work both influential and controversial. Whether admired or criticized, Machiavelli's legacy endures, challenging each generation to rethink the nature of leadership and the pursuit of the common good.